Now let us do short answer questions. First question is, what was the Indigo contract? The Indigo contract was that the sharecroppers were asked by the British landlords to grow indigo crop on 15% of their land and surrender the entire indigo harvest to them as rent. Next is synthetic indigo. What would be the impact of synthetic indigo on natural indigo? The impact would be that the prices of natural indigo would fall. Then why did the peasants agree to deposit compensation money to be relieved from the contract? They agreed because the indigo contract was a burdensome contract for them. So when the British offered to relieve them of this burden, they agreed to deposit the compensation money. Now, when did Gandhi arrive Champaran? He arrived when the dispute between the sharecroppers and the British landlords arose related to the indigo contract. Now the next question is, Gandhi had four long meetings with the Lieutenant Governor. What was the outcome of Gandhi's meetings with the Lieutenant Governor? The outcome was that an inquiry commission was set up. Now, who were the members of this commission? The British landlords and the officials, government officials, and Gandhi was the only person who represented the farmers. So, Gandhi as the representative of the peasants. Now, what happened after the inquiry commission completed its investigations? The inquiry commission found a huge evidence against the landlords, and now the landlords agreed to refund the money. How much money did they agree to refund? They agreed to refund 25% of the money of the farmers. Now, question 1 is, who was Rajkumar Shukla? Rajkumar Shukla was a poor farmer from Champaran who had come to meet Gandhi and urged him to help the sharecroppers of Champaran out of the indigo dispute. Second is, what was the indigo contract? The indigo contract was that the sharecroppers of Champaran were forced by the British landlords to grow 15% of their land with indigo crop and surrender the entire indigo harvest to them as rent. Third, why did Gandhi agree to 25% of refund? Gandhi agreed to 25% of refund because he said that the amount of money was not important. What was important was that the British landlords had surrendered not only a part of their money but also a part of their prestige. They had accepted their mistake and now they were proved wrong on their own foot. How did the episode change the plight of the farmers? This episode of indigo dispute, the indigo contract, it changed the plight of the farmers because after Gandhiji's interference, the dispute ended forever and the British landlords, they left the land and the farmers got back their land. Next is, what was the conflict of duties that Gandhi had? The conflict of duties that he had was that on one hand he was supposed to follow the court order and on the other hand he was supposed to help his people, the farmers of Champaran. The court order said that Gandhi should leave Champaran, but he wrote on the official order that he will disobey the order. This was civil disobedience. Now on the other hand, he had promised, he had come there to help the sharecroppers and take them out of the indigo dispute. If he goes back, follows the court order, then who will help these farmers? And if he stays to help these farmers on human grounds, then he is going against the court. So he finally listened to the voice of his conscience and decided to stay to help the farmers, and for disobeying the court order, he was ready to pay the penalty. Now the next question is, what was the typical Gandhi pattern? The typical Gandhi pattern was that his politics were intertwined with the practical day-to-day problems of the millions. His loyalty was not to the ideas and abstractions, but his loyalty was to the living human beings. Now the long answer question 1. How did Gandhi solve the Indigo dispute? In this we will have to give all the details that Rajkumar Shukla went to Lucknow, met Gandhi and asked him to come to Champaran. When Gandhi gave him the date, and Gandhi reached there at Champaran, and he saw that the problem was really there. So first of all, Gandhi went to collect the facts. He went to meet the secretary of the British Landlord Association, who did not help him. Then he went to the British Official Commissioner of Tirhut Division, who also did not help him. And finally, Gandhi stayed there in a house to collect information and do the investigations, and then the matter of the civil disobedience took place. And after that, how Gandhi forced the British officials to form an inquiry commission. The inquiry commission found huge evidence against the landlords, and now the landlords agreed to refund the money. They only refunded 25%, but even then Gandhi agreed, and the Indigo contract ended forever. Farmers got their lands back. So this whole has to be narrated in that. The next question is, what lesson did Gandhi teach the lawyers? First of all, when he met the lawyers, he chided them, he scolded them for charging high fees from their own people, from the poor farmers. Then he told these lawyers that there was no use of going to the court in such matters, and he first decided to make the farmer free from the fear of the British. And then he taught these lawyers the lesson of sincerity when the lawyers said that if Gandhi went to jail, they would go back to their homes. This Gandhi did not like, and he said, what would happen to the sharecroppers? At this, the lawyers realized that this man, Gandhi, who had come from outside, was ready to go to the jail for the sharecroppers, and the lawyers would go back home. It would be very shameful for them. So they again came to Gandhi and said that if Gandhi went to jail, they would continue with the struggle. And then Gandhi said that the battle of Champaran is won. Now in the end, again he taught them a lesson of self-reliance when the lawyers wanted that Gandhi should take the help of the British lawyer Charles Freer Andrews. At this, Gandhiji said that their cause was right, they should not depend on an outside support, and they should fight their own battle. And here he taught them the lesson of self-reliance. Finally, how was the Champaran episode a turning point in Gandhiji's life? The Champaran episode was a turning point because Gandhi came to Champaran as for a few days visit on the request of a farmer Rajkumar Shukla. But when he came over there, he dealt with the Indigo issue, and his stay for a few days was prolonged to almost a year. And in this he saw that civil disobedience won. Then he saw that he had a huge mass support, and he saw the way to struggle for India's freedom. He got the idea how the British could be urged to depart from India. That is why it was a turning point in Gandhiji's life. So here we finish with the questions.